Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Cody, and this video is going to focus on my favorite horror franchise, the Halloween series. And it's going to focus on where the franchise is going, and I'm going to give my own thoughts on it. Now, I'm sure most of you who are fans of the Halloween series have heard that there is a new Halloween film sort of in the works. A few months ago, there was a post on several websites that there's a new Halloween film coming out, and they said in it that they didn't give a whole lot of information on it. First off, they said it's not going to be a remake, which is good, or a reboot. It's going to be called a calibration, I think is what the word is. I cannot really, I think it's recalibration. And when I first heard that, I really didn't know exactly what they meant by it. And I actually watched Halloween Man 87's video, and he did a whole video on this, which I will link down below. If you want to get more information on on what's really going on with the new Halloween film, then I highly recommend watching that video below. He talks about how that he actually looked on Urban Dictionary, and the definition for recalibration is to sort of change a message if a message has been viewed by the public or by people viewing it as unfavorable. And in terms of the Halloween franchise, that means that the new film is going to correct a previous film in the franchise that fans of the film or fans of the franchise thought was unfavorable. Now, this could mean several different things. It could mean that they're talking about they want to, as a way of righting the wrong is another way of putting it. They want to, the next Halloween film is supposedly going to right the wrong of a previous sequel. Now, there are two movies that come to mind when you talk about a sequel that was perceived bad or was perceived unfavorable to the public. The first one is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The film could be referring to that. Now, Rob Zombie has already stated that he's not doing a Halloween film. So, the idea of the new Halloween film being a continuation of Rob Zombie's films really does not seem likely since Rob is not doing it. So, the only other film that people will probably think of as being unfavorable is Halloween Resurrection. Now, I'm personally a fan of Halloween Resurrection, but a lot of fans aren't. A lot of fans hate Resurrection with a passion. So perhaps the new Halloween film is going to right the wrong of Halloween Resurrection. And there's also information that two writers from the Saw franchise, from Saw 4 and up, and the Collective, they're actually the ones that are going to be writing the new film. And a lot of fans have, they're not a big fan of this because the Saw franchise is mostly known for its gore effects. It does have a good story, in my opinion. I think the Saw franchise has a decent story. But for the most part, people go see Saw for the gore and for the blood. And the original Halloween, Halloween was never known as a gory, bloody movie. That's not the point. Halloween was always built on suspense. So a lot of fans are really not psyched on them writing the story of the new Halloween film. But I'll give them a fair chance. I mean, I'm always open to seeing a new Halloween film and seeing how it can go. And, if they do a good job, then great. And if they don't, well, then I guess that's just another movie that's going to disappoint the fans. Well, over the past few months, I've been thinking about, what could be the plot of a new film. And I actually, just sitting around in my room, I actually came up with a really cool idea, or at least I think it's a cool idea, for a Halloween 9 plot. Now, like I said, there's no actual plot for the new Halloween film. So this could be, so this is just sort of me just giving my own idea of what I think would make a great Halloween sequel. Now, before I get into this, I will say it's not perfect. There's different ideas that I actually left out of the franchise in favor of other ideas. So, the whole Thorn storyline from Halloween 5 and 6, I did not include that in my idea, mostly because I wanted to, well, I'll get to that in a second, but, so it's not a perfect idea for a Halloween sequel, but I think it's a good start. So, I thought it'd be a great idea to give you guys my idea of what I think would make a great Halloween 9. And, you know, I'm always open to criticism, so feel free to let me know if you guys like this idea for Halloween 9, if you guys are for this idea, or, and always let me know what is your idea for Halloween 9 if you have one. So, my idea of Halloween 9 is I wanted to keep it true and pure to the original franchise. So the first idea I gotta ask is, you know, how would Michael return? Now, as you know, in Halloween Resurrection, you know, he opened his eyes at the end, so he's alive. But what is his purpose now? In the original Halloween film, he was after his bloodline. And at the beginning of the first film, he killed his older sister, you know, Judith, and then in the first film, he goes after Lori, his sister. And so the first and the second film is mostly about him going after Lori, his bloodline. Well, in the fourth film, you find out in H2O she faked her death, but in the fourth film they didn't really know that. So they didn't really that wasn't part of the story until H2O. So in the fourth film, Lori supposedly died. But so the only person that Michael went after for 4 and 5 was her daughter Jamie. Okay, so in Halloween 6, he ends up killing Jamie. And who is left but her son, Stephen? And as you know, Tommy Doyle, you know, he finds Stephen in the train station. Is it a train? I think it's a train station. He finds Stephen. Is it a train? No, it's a. I forget what station it is. But Tommy Doyle from the original film finds Jamie's baby. And so in Halloween 6, Michael goes after Jamie's baby. Well, and even in Halloween H2O, he's still going after his bloodline. Of course, he knows that Lori is still alive, and he goes after her, but he's also going after Lori's son in H2O. So, I think that the perfect idea for Halloween 9 would have Michael going after a member of his bloodline, a member of his family. And who would be a perfect person for him to go after? Jamie's baby from Halloween 6, Stephen. You know, so how could this be done? Well, I think there are different ways that they could do it. You know, they could have the film take place this year, 2015, or 2016. You know, either way, they could have it take place then. I think it'd be a cool idea if they had the film take place when Stephen turned 17, because that's the year that Michael killed Judith in the first film. That's also the age that he went after Lori in the original film, and that's the age that Michael went after Lori's son. They were all 17. So I think it would be a cool idea for in the new Halloween film for Stephen to be 17. Now, of course, you know, he was, you could say, adopted by Tommy in Halloween 6. So let's just say in the 6th Halloween film, in the 9th Halloween film, maybe Tommy never told Stephen about Michael Myers or about Jamie, his biological mother. Maybe Stephen was grown up to believe that Tommy Doyle and the woman from Halloween 6, whose name I'm forgetting, you know, he grew up to believe in those were his real parents. But as he got older, you know, just like Jamie was in Halloween 4, maybe as he got older, he starts to find out about his real mother, Jamie. Maybe he gets bullied in school, and you know, you know, maybe just like Jamie, you know, he says, "Oh yeah, your uncle's the boogeyman." You know, just like in Halloween 4, the way Jamie was, you know, bullied, maybe Stephen starts to get bullied. And so he starts asking questions. He starts asking questions to Tommy about, you know, who is this, you know, the boogeyman is my uncle is what they're saying. Who is this guy? And maybe Tommy starts to tell him about Michael Myers and starts to tell him about Jamie, his biological mother. And so, you know, now that Stephen's older, he wants to find out about Jamie. He wants to find out about his biological mother and who she was. And at this point, let's just say nobody knows Michael's alive. Let's just say that they keep it under wraps. Perhaps the people at the hospital or the people who witnessed Michael escaping, maybe they kept that from the public. So let's say he doesn't know Michael's alive, but he wants to still find out about Jamie, his biological mother. So he decides to go to Haddonfield to find out about her, about where she lived. He also wants to find out about Lori, because Lori was Jamie's mother, and he wants to find out more about her. And he goes to Haddonfield, and he slowly starts to discover Michael Myers. He discovers the story of Michael, the story of how he's connected to Lori, and his background. And I think that would be a great way of getting Stephen to go back to Haddonfield. Okay, so that's pretty much how I think that the original plot of the movie could start off. And you could have Tommy Doyle and maybe the girl from Halloween 6 that come with him. I think that would be a cool idea to have Tommy Doyle come back and also star in the new Halloween film. Now I want to bring in another character. It's not a new character per se. One of my favorite things about the Halloween franchise, and I'm sure every fan's favorite thing about the Halloween franchise, was Dr. Loomis. And I think it'd be a cool idea to perhaps have a character like that in the new Halloween film. Now, a few years back, there was a rumor going around that the next Halloween film was going to involve Dr. Loomis's son going after Michael. Now, I don't know if that rumor is still going on. I don't know if that's still an idea or if it has been abandoned. But, when I heard about it, I started thinking, I wonder how they could introduce Dr. Loomis's son into the series. And so I came up with this idea. And like I said, this is just my own personal idea. Let's just say, before Dr. Loomis found out who Michael Myers was, let's say he was married. He had a beautiful wife, and they lived together for years. Well, then when Dr. Loomis he found out about a 6-year-old kid who murdered his sister, Michael, he automatically becomes obsessed with trying to find out who Michael, why did Michael do this to his sister? And his entire time became filled up with him trying to do research and find out, why did Michael do this? What was the voice that Michael heard in his head to kill his sister? And he pretty much spends his entire time trying to figure out, what happened. And Dr. Loomis's wife, she doesn't like that he's spending all this time doing his work. She doesn't like that it's pretty much controlling his life and is taking over his life. So she decides to divorce him. And after she divorces him, maybe she finds out that she was pregnant. Maybe she gets remarried, and she raises Dr. Loomis's son thinking that the man that she married is his biological father. Well, as Dr. Loomis's son, I don't have a name for him, but I've heard several names given to him, but I can't think of one right now. But let's just say that he grows up and he starts to find out about Dr. Loomis, his father, his biological father, and he starts finding out about Michael Myers and about Lori. And he wants to learn more about Dr. Loomis. He wants to learn about his biological father and all the great things that he's done helping children and helping people that were his patients before he met Michael. He wants to find out about that. And so, Dr. Loomis's son decides to go to Haddonfield. And that's how the two meet. You could also say that perhaps Dr. Loomis also Dr. Loomis's son finds out about Jamie, and then finds out about Jamie's son, Stephen. And so, he wants to meet Stephen. Maybe you could even say that maybe Dr. Loomis's son believes that Michael is alive. And like I said previously, you could say that you could say that the hospital that was, or the morgue that had Michael's body and had Michael come to life, you could say that they kept that from the public, and so nobody knows that Michael is alive, and perhaps he escaped from the hospital, but they don't want to cause a panic. So let's say maybe Dr. Loomis's son finds out that Michael is alive. Somehow he finds out, maybe he's doing research and he finds, that someone, did a report, hey, Michael Myers is still alive, or something like that, But you could have it to where he finds out about that. And so he wants to find Steven because he believes that, Steven's life is in danger, that Michael might be after him. And then he finds out that Steven has gone to Haddonfield to learn about his mother. And so Dr. Loomis's son goes to Haddonfield to protect Steven. And that would be a great idea to get those two characters together. And that would be, it'd be just like in the original film of having, the victim of Michael and Dr. Loomis, a Dr. Loomis type character protecting him. And having both of those people in Haddonfield, having, Jamie's son in Haddonfield, and having Dr. Loomis's son in Haddonfield, and perhaps maybe Tommy Doyle in Haddonfield as well, that gives Michael all the reason to make his return. And that is sort of my idea of what I think would be a cool way to do Halloween 9, my own idea for the plot. Now, like I said, there's different things in the franchise I didn't talk about. For one thing, I left out the whole Thorn storyline from 5 and 6. I'd say maybe you could have that in there, but I wanted to keep it. Sorry, I'm sweating. It's hot in my room. But I wanted to keep it close to the original series. The original first 2 films and 4. And in those films, the whole Thorn idea wasn't around. In the original films, Michael was just after his bloodline. He was after Laurie, and then he went after Jamie. So I think it'd be a cool idea for the 9th film to be about him going after the last member of his bloodline, Steven. And, there's other ideas that I've heard sort of related to this. I've also heard Laurie's son from Halloween H2O trying to avenge the death of his mother from Resurrection and having him in it. I think that'd be a cool idea as well. But that's just my own personal idea, and I'd really love to hear some feedback if you guys think that that's a really good idea for a plot. Like I said, this has been something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I think that I've tried to make the best plot. One thing that I really don't think they should do is I don't think they should introduce a new character in the Halloween franchise. I think that there's already too many questions that need to be answered in the original franchise that to bring in a